We didn't take any on yet, but we're gonna have to move some out of here just because we don't have any rain yet. Didn't take any on yet, but we're gonna have a little delayed there.
Ghosts in the Machine.
I love it.
Yep, I got us live.
Hello, Patty.
Hi, good evening, good evening.
You look cold.
Woke up to 19 degrees Fahrenheit this morning. Sun was brilliant, but it was just cold all day long.
And
So
we're
yes, I'm
we're at
staying.
we're at 1 degree C and it's snowing.
Oh my, well, we haven't got the snow. I'll give you that one. Right now, we haven't got the snow, but much colder than I would prefer. It was this mental dissonance between it's sunny outside and it's freezing outside. I was like,
Yep.
so wanted it to be warm because it was sunny, but that wasn't the way it was.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, you look like you're out walking today.
I am.
Okay.
Just a couple minutes away from home.
Okay, sounds good.
Good.
Shane, it's good to see you. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
And Christy,
Yeah. She's doing well as well.
Good.
we miss seeing her.
Yes. She's on you. She's watching you on YouTube.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And Jacqueline, I see you're here, but your picture is up, so I just want to welcome you as well.
I
Hi,
have the hiccups tonight. I did not catch myself soon enough, so I could be hiccuping for a few hours.
All right. We've got a few hours to give you, so.
Good.
Brent, welcome.
Oh, Brent.
So I think we can get
Hello.
started now that Brent's here.
Yeah, really. I thought I let in Becky and Tim.
They're having some tech issues.
Okay.
So do you have everything recording that needs to be?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you can put up the poster, but I can get started with announcements while they're sorting out their tech issues.
I am not able
Oh, there they are.
to do
Yay!
that.
Nick of time.
Gonna say our screens all went wonky. It's never awesome when you're presenting to have screens go wonky.
This is
Yeah,
true.
really.
This is true.
All right, guys. So sorry, were we ready, Blair? You got everything recording when it needs to be?
I believe so.
We're live on YouTube. Okay.
We are live on YouTube.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll kick it off then. So just a couple announcements, you guys. We're coming to you live tonight. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about is Blair has a couple books on Amazon right now, Ultimate Mind Hacking and the Phobia Freedom Formula. If you have not had an opportunity to read those, highly recommend that you go to Amazon and put them in your cart. You can search by them by title or by Blair's name. It's an awesome opportunity to see how mind models apply to different situations, specifically some mindsets, sticking places that you may be experiencing and how to be able to break free of those with the Ultimate Mind Hacking. And then Phobia Freedom Formula. If you've ever been stunted in life because you're too afraid of something or things keep popping up, another great read for you to be able to understand what mind models might be able to do for you. Also, Blair has another book coming out soon. We're on the edge of our seat for more details on that. So hang on with us and Blair will fill us in when that is available. If you are on YouTube and you'd like to join us live tonight in the room, be able to ask questions, participate in real time, please go to rewiringthemind.com/weekly webinar. You can sign up and you'll be able to be directed to the link to join us here live on Zoom. And we are here every single Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain, 9 p.m. Eastern. And with that, I will turn it over to Tim to do our intro for
All
tonight.
right. Okay, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of the Blair Dunkley Experience. This is the 389th episode. This is our mind model community where we discuss mind models. Mind models are, if you're not familiar with them, a collection of extensively tested thought frameworks, skills, and behaviors that enable people to transform their lives intentionally. They have been researched and tested for over 17 years. Mind models are consistently proven to work over 80% of the time, which is huge compared to, if you've heard of, the buzzword out there of mindset, which actually there's been some research done. It's only like 1% effective. Mind models are 80% effective most of the time. So mind models are huge. Mind model definitions are behavioral. They're not academic, and they are process-based. For this reason, we lean into the experiential piece, which is what we do here at the Blair Dunkley Experience, which is how can we encourage you to come on and join us live. And this works regardless of how long you work with the mind models. There's more depth to explore, and even Blair experiences this even after 50 years of working with these mind models. He's still expanding them and working with them and learning new things. Your host for this evening is Blair Dunkley, the creator of the mind models. We are Tim and Becky Graff, your co-hosts and certified mind model coaches, along with the amazing Patty McClurg and Colin Jewett when he's able to be here with us. I don't believe he's joining us tonight, but we love it when he's here. The Blair Dunkley Experience is Blair's free gift to you as an opportunity to learn, experience, and practice the mind models in a safe, real-world environment. Mind models have impacted every part of Becky and I's life. Not only in business, they've made us more effective and more confident, but in our marriage, they've helped us resolve an 8-year issue within just a couple hours when we went through Mind Model Coach. And then when Becky and I faced the unimaginable, a tragic accident that took both of our young daughters in 2020, these tools gave us the strength to navigate the grief and the PTSD and the capacity to recover more quickly than we ever thought was possible. Mind models have increased our effectiveness, our resilience, and the ability to keep moving forward without the traditional counseling way that most people go, where you relive the tragic experience. So this has really helped us work with the emotions and the PTSD and the grief and things that come up in the moment by taking action. So we're excited for tonight's topic. We look forward to learning with you guys and welcome you all to the Blair Dunkley Experience. Before we jump into tonight's topic, I want to check in with everybody who's on. Last week, we did external versus internal, which is a mind model that we talk about here on the Blair Dunkley Experience. And we asked for those of you that were on to notice when external and internal were at play throughout your week. And so I wanted to check in with those that are on and see if they had an experience with internal versus external during the week. I want to ask Shane, because I know Shane was on last week. And did you have an experience this week with external versus internal? Something you don't mind sharing?
I mean, everyday life. Now that you learn Blair's mind models, you use these tools virtually every day. So, I mean, nothing just jumps out that screamed like it, but it's just something Christy and I use on a daily basis. So
Okay.
everyday life.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's very similar with Becky and I. We find ourselves, we use these so often that it just becomes part of, and don't really notice those moments.
I was going to say, I just did today before this call. I was lots of internal and external. Our computer was not working, and internally, I was not having a good time. So externally, I was hitting the keys really hard.
So there's that.
Anywho, just sharing.
Jackie, you were on last week. Did you have something that you'd like to share?
And it's not a completely clean example, I think, but I was just happy I was noticing it. So I was driving along in my car and I was kind of feeling off. And I did the where am I? And then I go, oh, music, because like that kind of really gets me back here and puts me into a walk right away. And the next thing I know, I'm pushing the button for my music. And I guess doing that behavior, I was able to change internal space because luckily a great song came on and I was just like instantly changed. So it was fascinating for me to realize that I could be influenced that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was, even though it was very simple and not like a clean internal external type of thing, I guess, it was very impactful.
Way cool. Way cool. Thank you for sharing, Jackie. Appreciate that. You know, and actually you sparked something for me. I wanted to also shout out hello, Valeska. Glad to see you. Glad to have you back. Great to have you on. So just wanted to say hi. I saw you pop on. Jackie sparked something we actually had, and I think I'm not going to share any names, but to give a little plug for the Phobia Freedom Formula, we have a friend of ours who recently had the Phobia Freedom Formula ran on her. And we had an opportunity to go out and test this week with our friend her what was a fear for her. And while we were out testing this, it was constantly this battle between the internal and external, internal, external. She would go internal, and when the emotions would come up while she's going through this process, and we kept bringing her to, okay, what are you seeing? What are you experiencing? What are you noticing? Not only internally, but externally. You know, what are you noticing outside of you that you can ground to? And so there's this constant just naming and labeling of what's going on internally. What do you externally know? Back and forth. And it really made a world of difference as she walked through this experience. And it was really cool to see her win at the other side of this. So it was a huge win for her. It was really cool for us to see as we kind of walked her through that, you know, just naming and labeling what's going on internally, externally. And it was a really just awesome experience this week. So phobia freedom formula, getting tongue tied, really works, and it's awesome, especially when you pair it with these mind models and really test them out. So just wanted to share that. Did you have anything you want to add to that, Blair, or are we ready to transition to the video?
We're basically ready. I won't be doing a lot of talking due to the hiccups I'm having, because unfortunately I can have hiccups for, well, 4 to 12 hours.
Okay.
So, not
All
fun.
right.
Okay.
With that, I will, yeah, let's fire up tonight's topic, which is, I believe, judgment versus evaluation.
Yep, evaluation versus judgment is coming up, and I've got a short video, but it's very punchy and instructive. So let's give it a whirl. Let's just make sure I got the right thing going. I don't. 2 seconds. I hit an ineffective share button.
Chinese acupressure point.
And let's do this and try this again.
A critical deadline slips past. An offhand comment suddenly turns into a sharp argument. When things snap, the physical reaction is immediate. A wave of heat in your chest, a tightness in your throat. Before you even process the facts, your brain kicks into overdrive. You start spinning up excuses, tearing down your competence, and looking for someone to hold responsible. In the mind model framework, this specific chaotic spiral is defined as ineffective judgment. When you are in this state, your brain isn't trying to solve the problem. It is frantically trying to manufacture a target for blame. To understand why we do this, we have to look at our evolutionary history. This judging reflex is a built-in feature of the human brain.
Whoops,
It will still hit you unexpectedly, like a crashing wave. While that initial feature of the human brain, early humans survived by making split-second decisions with incomplete data. If you hear a rustle in the grass or face a stranger in a dark alley, your brain doesn't have time for a full investigation. It makes a snap judgment to keep you alive. While this keeps us safe from physical threats, it creates a closed loop in modern life. Applying a survival reflex to personal disagreements generates anxiety. Your mind repeats the same reactive patterns until it finds an exit point in the form of blame. Relying on a survival reflex to process modern failure keeps us stuck in a self-destructive cycle. There is a precise cognitive countermeasure to this emotional spiral. It's called evaluation. These two states operate on entirely different questions. Judgment looks at a mistake and asks, who can we blame? Evaluation looks at the exact same data and asks, what can we learn? Evaluation requires a shift in perspective. It actively rejects your subjective internal feelings about the event and demands only externally verifiable facts. To move from the closed loop of judgment into the open system of evaluation, you have to apply a rigorous, structured form of curiosity. Blair Dunkley's 3 A's framework provides the step-by-step instructions for climbing out of the emotional why hole. Step 1 is pattern interruption. You have to pause the emotional wave and ask, is this feeling or behavior effective or ineffective in reaching my desired result? Step 2 is the data shift. You move your focus from internal subjective truth to externally verifiable data. This is a psychological hack. You aren't ignoring your emotions, you are treating them as data points rather than absolute reality. Step 3 is the evaluation itself. With your data organized, you ask 3 specific questions. What worked? What didn't work? And what might I do differently? This mechanical curiosity acts as a wedge. It pries the brain out of its biological reactive loop and forces it into a state of deliberate reasoning. True adaptation follows a simple rule. Meaningful learning requires failure. Without it, there is no data to tell us how to adjust. Judgment uses failure as a reason to stop. Evaluation uses failure as the fuel needed to move faster. You cannot delete the biological reflex of judgment. It will still hit you unexpectedly, like a crashing wave. While that initial crash is inevitable, the 3 E's framework ensures you don't have to remain a hostage to the aftermath. The next time failure creates friction, pull back the pointing finger. Use curiosity to stop judging what went wrong so you can find the clarity to evaluate how to make it right.
Okie
Okay. So tonight is evaluation versus judgment. And Valeska, just to fill you in for a minute, this is the 3rd in a series. You heard in the video, they discuss something called the 3 E's.
A critical deadline slips past. An offhand comment.
My apologies.
The 3 E's. And we've gone through effective versus ineffective and external versus internal. Now we're doing evaluation versus judgment. So those are the 3 E's. And Blair has found that even though they stand on their own and they are effective as eaches, they increase their effectiveness to over 90% when they're stacked. And when they're stacked, they become a process of their own. So we're teasing them apart in this series that we're doing on foundational level of mind models. We're teasing them apart, but gradually over time, we'll be introducing them in ways that they do stack. And that's what they were referring to in the video. So let's see. May I ask you a question, Valeska? When you hear the word evaluation, what happens for you at a feeling level? Someone says we need to evaluate. What happens for you on a feeling level?
Feeling more like why.
You go right to why then. Okay. So how does the word judgment hit you when you hear it?
Oh, when I hear from other that I hear whose judgment? It's not mine.
Interesting. Okay. Brent, same question. How does the word evaluation sit with you and the word judgment sit with you? Thank you, Valeska.
Evaluation, now it hits me as I'm looking for points, information, data points, and I'm separate, like the judgment piece is separated. But it used to be as judgment. And I would get it as judgment because most of the time the evaluation received was more like judgment as it was than information. So it used to be I would get like Valeska get work like have a like apprehension or get tense if there was an evaluation because there was this sense of judgment behind it. Um, so whether it was myself or external as well, so from others, it was the mostly that same feeling, that experience of the judgment piece. So it would be like kind of tense up, get ready, brace yourself for what's coming,
Mm-hmm.
um, rather than going, oh, it's just the information to improve on. So, and now, judgment was, it used to be this, I think, roughly the same, but it was more of a, I used to see it as more of an external piece. I didn't see the judgment as internal, like me judging me.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I'm able to see that's there, like that judgment from the external sources as well as internal source. So, and being aware of that is just another piece of information to notice, my emotions and where I'm at. So that's
I had a
what
similar relationship with the word evaluation. Evaluation was somebody getting ready to systematically tell me all the things I was doing wrong. And that's what evaluation meant.
Mhm.
But I prefer Blair's sense of evaluation, which is we're just gathering data and we're going to look at it. And yes, performance evaluations, judgment of behaviors. Yeah. Jackie, you turned your camera on. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, actually, it's just basically what you're saying about evaluation, and it didn't strike me because I've been so used to using the word evaluation and judgment, and I'm trying to read your name, Valeska. Valeska, is that's
Oh,
correct?
yes,
Okay, I want to say it properly, or as close as properly as possible.
that's okay.
Think of it as Alaska with a V. That's how she taught
Valeska,
me.
Valeska,
Yes.
Valeska. All right.
Muy bien, muy bien.
Muy bien, mucho bene. Okay, okay, now I kind of forgot. Oh yeah, it was to your point, Patty, that when Valeska pulled out the word evaluation and chose judgment over valuation, it was just like a kickback into like how our definitions on our words define us
Yes.
and have such an impact. And I was going to actually ask Velasco a question if she'd ever had an evaluation that was ineffective going to another's reasons, like ineffective or effective. Have you ever had an effective evaluation or ineffective? You know what I mean? Because we're like pulling all the three E's together. You're saying how they all work together. And anyway, can I ask you that? Have you ever had an ineffective evaluation when you're left feeling like mucho caca?
Yeah, I guess growing up, everything I did was wrong. Oh yes, because in school I questioned a lot and they kept telling me to be quiet and don't ask questions. So I was always singled out.
Right. Okay. So you perceived that was an evaluation because it was like an evaluation of your behaviors rather than a judgment.
Yeah, it occurred to me that my value were not important. I gotta follow the group.
Okay. Yes, I'm just trying to understand like where you're at with these words, evaluation and judgment. Do we actually have like a definition of what is evaluation as far as we try to apply it?
We have, I did not write a definition for this week, but what we have is how evaluation functions and how judgment functions.
If you
So,
have the correct definition, not the correct definition, but an effective definition of evaluation.
right, how healthy, effective evaluation functions. What does it do? And Becky, could you throw that up into the chat, please?
I think we're going to need to fluff this out a little bit because
Yeah, I agree.
that's a
I
Shannon
agree.
word. I love that when she said, "Oh,
Yeah.
we've got to fluff it out." I was
Yes.
just like, "That's so gentle,"
I know.
Like it's lovely language.
It is. She has wonderful words.
She does. I just am amazed whenever I hear her chatting. It's just like, wow, I wish I could be that eloquent.
I know. I feel the same way. So, so in terms of how evaluation functions from a mind model perspective, you've got a behavioral definition of judgment there.
Well, maybe I can give it a shot.
I was going to say Becky, you put the behavioral judgment definition in there. I was looking for
Evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
the qualities of how evaluation functions, and then we can go
I'm going
back
to give it a shot while you guys are figuring out that. Okay,
Sure.
I want to try. Okay,
Yeah, give
so
it a shot.
a judgment to me is when somebody is like pointing their finger at you and saying you're not good, you're this, you're that, and it's all negative, their tone is bad, or you're even pointing the finger at yourself and going, well, that was stupid.
Mhm.
Evaluation, however, in how I apply evaluation is like, oh well, that wasn't an effective behavior. What might I do differently? So rather than pointing the finger at myself and saying that was stupid to do that, how could you be so stupid? Of course you, like, yeah, everybody was right in the past and I'm never going to get anywhere, is like a judgment. But evaluation is stopping yourself in time, for me anyway, and taking a step back. And it's almost like a separation and just looking at what happened specifically. Okay, well, I did something that was not necessarily appropriate in the time and place, wasn't really effective, but I'm putting it in a list of things and I'm kind of detaching it from myself so I can look at it and then get back to the external and internal. And I know that's very muddled because I'm feeling very muddled when I'm saying it.
Well, it's really pretty spot on with what Becky posted in terms of a behavioral definition of judgment. So judgment is behaviorally defined as an internal, subjective opinion or agreement regarding someone else or a situation rather than an objective assessment of verifiable behaviors. It's a telling process that assigns personal value to an experience using limited words like good, bad, right, wrong. So basically, that's a condensed version of what you were saying, Jackie.
Okay, so when you're in judgment, you might hear yourself saying, you idiot, that was wrong, that was bad. Oh, how could you do something like that? That would be like maybe my internal self-talk that is going on. However, when I'm in evaluation, I might say, that wasn't that effective, feeling a little embarrassed. However, what might I do differently the next time? So I'm not like beating myself up with judgment. I'm trying to make a plan and a route out of it by using evaluation.
So when we look at what evaluation is doing from a functional point of view, it's gathering data from externally verifiable sources, and it asks the question, what worked, what didn't work, and what might I do differently? It produces information and it examines patterns. So what we're doing is, in a sense, we're being behavioral scientists when we're looking at the data for evaluation. And then we're deciding, what do I do with this? And our internal selves is also data. Then when we look at these emotions, these intense things that Jackie was talking about, that's data too. So what's going on for me right now? And what do I want to do about that? And where is it coming? What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? You know, what else am I feeling? you can just go with lots of layers and gather data. And when you have that data, then you can step back a little bit and say, okay, what can I see within this data? And then you move from that into what can I do about what I'm seeing? So it supports the learning process within a mind model framework. Even though it sounds like you've had some negative experiences with evaluation from a behavioral point of view, I have too. Like I said, it's an excuse for somebody to tell me everything I'm doing wrong. But from a mind model point of view, it's part of the learning process. Within mind model framework, there's actually a mind model called FAIL, First Attempt in Learning, which is the idea that we cannot learn if we do not fail. So if we're going to learn and grow, failure gives us data if we evaluate it. So we can make adjustments and we can get closer to the results that we desire. So in terms of neuroscience of judgment is not negative. And we're talking about, that behavioral definition sounds very negative, but we need judgment, and not all judgment is negative. Don't want to get into the good, bad, right, wrong with evaluation and judgment and do exactly what we're talking about only with those words. So what the neuroscience of judgment is that judgment balances the rapid, intuitive, emotional responses with slower, deliberative, cognitive reasoning. So it involves a lot of complex neural processes that integrate emotions and decision-making socially, morally, and for self-protection. If Blair was not having hiccups, I would ask him for his story about going down a dark alley. So do you think you could squeeze that out between hiccups, Blair?
I'm sorry, it's
not happening. Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Well, they alluded to that in the video where they talked about going down a dark alley. Blair had an experience with friends, and they were walking past a dark alley. They were all together. The friends wanted to go down the dark alley. Blair thought, no. He made a quick judgment call and decided not to. They were mugged and he wasn't. And so he protected himself based on a judgment call. We make judgment calls when we don't have all the information. It's all we have left to us is our best guess, our best judgment. So,
but isn't, oh,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't really realize I had my mic on. But isn't when Blair's standing at the valley, in the alley or towards the alley, is he not evaluating or is he judging?
He's evaluating, but then he makes a judgment call.
Ah, I see. I'm sorry, I missed that part.
That's okay. He is evaluating. He's looking at, what am I feeling? What am I seeing? What don't I like? But he doesn't have all the information. So he has to make a judgment call. Our judgment calls can keep us safe when we don't have all the information. We draw from our past experience. We draw from what we do know. And then we extrapolate that into a judgment call.
But wouldn't that be an effective use of evaluation to make a decision?
Well, I'm going to say...
I can try and jump in here quickly.
Okay, go ahead.
Pardon my hiccups, though. Anyway, when I was standing looking towards the alleyway while I was slightly into it, I just noticed how the individuals who were just sitting there were immediately tracking us. And that's not a normal behavior of just people sitting around. Now, we were Western. It was in North Africa. And I go, that whole sense of what was likely going to happen to me was something that I was sensing, not really being able to fully identify exactly the risk threat, but I would say my spidey senses were tingling. And I just went, nope, this isn't a potentially safe place to be for whatever reason, which I could barely enunciate at the time. So I said, thanks, guys, but no thanks. I'm not going down here. You want to go? Go. I'm not. And yeah, the two of them got mugged. I didn't. I walked away because I immediately turned around. And
So there is
besides,
a measure of evaluation in there in terms of your feelings and what you noticed, what you
yes,
became aware of. There is an element of evaluation with that.
there is, but a lot of it was incredibly subjective, not cognitive, like not externally verifiable. Now I can attribute certain things to it. But back in the day, all I could say is it just felt unsafe. It just was a gut reaction. And so I go, I'm going to trust my gut. Besides, they wanted to go do some other stuff down there. And I wanted to go buy a sheepskin coat. And so I had a much more positive thing that I wanted to do. And they wanted to do this other stuff and whatever. Anyway,
So thank you, Blair. I appreciate you pushing through the hiccups for that.
you're welcome.
Melissa, is any of this becoming clearer to you? What are you taking out of it at this point?
That instead of reacting, just train your brain to, what other actions you can take.
Okay. Becky put a behavioral definition in for evaluation. Becky, I don't know where you're getting these, but they're really great. Evaluation is defined as an accounting of a person's choice of externally verifiable behaviors, actions, performance, and words, rather than relying on internal feelings or subjective opinions. Evaluation is fundamentally a questioning process designed to reveal objective facts and evidence based on a desired result. Shane, I really liked what you put in. Could you expand on that a little bit? Could you tell us how that works for you?
Yeah, I mean, when I in when I recognize that I'm in judgment mode of internal judgment of myself or judging something, another situation, whether I find that I'm skewering, maybe skewering the data. Like I'm only listening to the
Skewing,
data that I want to, what's that, Blair?
skewing.
Skewing. There you go. Skewer is when you
Yeah,
little shrimp on the bobby. So skew
skewing.
comic relief. See, Christy, I know you're watching. You see, other people think I'm funny too, Christy. Anyway, um, so I'm just using the data that I want to, or like Tim Becky said in their storytelling, like I'm telling myself a story. I'm technically falsifying the data that's available because I want it to be what I want it to be, and it keeps me in the judgment. And then you have to like, is this really effective? No, it's not. What else might you do?
Yes, what else might you do? A Becky question.
Yeah.
Brent, could you expand on judgment being either effective or ineffective?
Yeah, I was so the two stories with the Blair and Shane there, I was like, oh shoot, yeah, he had judgment, he couldn't quite externally, evaluate. So he's like there was more of a judgment, but it was effective in that situation. It was very effective for him for that judgment. And then Shane, in his story, it was ineffective. The judgment itself was ineffective. So you have the two, but when the basic needs, you said, when you're like neurologically, your basic needs it's not all negative, but when there's certain situation, specific situations where you don't have time or things happen where judgment is that's the piece that drives you. That's what's needed. just to quickly move and into safety, you know, and if there's danger type things, to quickly move. So there may be, you know, things like that that are effective, and then like ineffective ones may be, you know, as if I'm judging myself, opinions, beating myself up, you know, somebody else, or you know, doing that behavior to somebody, you know, that would be ineffective for communications. If you want to have effective communication, but you're coming at it from a judgment piece and, you know, blaming and you know, like judging the behaviors and attacking the behaviors as if there's that person, and going, you know, holding that, it could be very ineffective for creating the effective communication. I don't know if that was clear enough to.
No, it's good. Thank you. So, Becky, could you talk a little bit about the ineffective side of judgment, what that looks like and feels like?
Oh yeah, I have had plenty of practice with it. No, so the ineffective sides of judgment, for me, one of the telltale signs is I get hot really fast. Like it's a core indicator of if I'm in ineffective judgment space, I'm not talking very nice to myself or talking very nice in my head about others, just like having that internal monologue. Um, I also find that I'm a whole lot more stressed out. So those feelings of anxiousness and overwhelm typically are coming from a place of judgment placed on something, whether upon myself, others, the situation, a deadline, something like that. So I'm curious, is any of what I'm just sharing limited just to me? Is anybody else, by the raise of hand, ever experienced something like that? Okay. So another couple things, anxiety. If we're super worried about something, we're judging that there's an issue. And again, it's typically leveled, right, or aimed at someone, either ourselves, situation, or others. Depression is another form of judgment. We're locking ourselves down, we're shrinking the size of our world, we're dealing with some stuff that feels very real to us, but maybe not actually anchored in anything that is true, like external evidence as far as that goes. Critical of others or self, hyperactivity, reactivity, not activity, hyper reactivity. Okay, so Tim unfortunately is married to me, and there's times when I'm stressed out and he comes home and he says like 2 words to me and I react. And it has nothing to do with like, did you put the toilet paper on with it going over or under? Like something like that mushroom clouded into like this big old huge thing because I judged that it was done the wrong way and he was judging that I'd done it the wrong way. And it's like, it's toilet paper, guys. Use it, just leave it be. Okay. Impatience, another one. Nobody else on this call has ever been impatient for anything. Waiting in line to go get tickets for something. My gosh, they're being so slow behind the counter. They should just fill in the process that I think they should work. Anybody else ever been here? Okay. And then generalized negativity. Another one where we see a lot of just, you've got the color on your glasses and you can't quite see anything positive in anything. And it doesn't matter, like you got the promotion, you got the car, you got the things, you got everything going well, and there's still a problem with it. Okay, very draining. Shane says, I've had all the patience in the world. I sometimes forget to use them. Ah, so he's hoarding them. You're a patience hoarder until the right time. I like it. Yeah. So the interesting thing with judgment as we're talking about is a lot of times we do fall into the ineffective sides of judgment because I think that's what's most practiced as human beings. But I'm actually going to put some things to flip the dynamic a little bit in the chat of some symptoms that you're operating in an effective side of it. Okay. Or effective evaluation, which is the counter. Did that answer your question, Patty, as it relates to the ineffective side?
You. No, thank you. Well done. Okay. Well done. So when you're putting those in the chat, you're going to put in the effective evaluation part, or were you going to put in the?
So I'm going to put, so we just talked about the ineffective side of judgment. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do we want to continue with the judgment side of things and then flip to evaluation?
I wanted to go one more step into the ineffective judgment side before shifting to evaluation. Okay. Was how does ineffective judgment feel? What do you notice about yourself when you're in that place? Shane? What are the internal
Valeska
cues
also
that
put
let
up
you?
her hand.
I'm sorry. Oh, Valeska, sorry, I didn't see you. What are the internal cues that let you know that you're in an ineffective judgment state?
Frustration. I get, I'm like Blair said, I know better and I know ways to get out of that now. So you feel frustrated that you even allow yourself into that in the beginning.
Mm.
Okay. Valeska, what about you?
Well, for me, it feels very heavy. I don't have energy to do anything.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. It drains your energy, leaves you feeling very heavy. What about you, Brent? What do you notice on the internal cue side for ineffective judgment?
Oh man, along so what Shane and Valeska similar things, and I was thinking, what else do I feel inside? It's, I mean, how do you explain almost like weighted down, a little bit weighted down, something there, not super heavy, but there's a weight, like if you have a weighted blanket, it's not real heavy, but it's
Yeah.
just enough there where you're like almost physically as you stand down too, it's so like pressure pulling you down, physically standing and um not clear, very jumbled, chaotic, a little chaos,
Mm-hmm.
in the mind, chaotic. Um oh, there was another one I wanted to put in there. I said that I forgot what it
Oh,
was.
and I was going to say, if you think about it, just flag us and
Rushed,
flag.
feel rushed, like everything,
Oh,
got
that's a
rushed,
good one.
hurry, rushed, and just jumping to conclusions like quickly from one to the
Mhm.
other, and you miss things, you're rushing to do things and you miss, like I've done it with like being in the kitchen and you're doing something and with a knife and you're all rushed doing something to cut your finger and you're just like, it wasn't the time to be mentally, the mental space was not focused on what the task at hand. It was preoccupied and cut myself.
Yeah. No, that's
So,
a good one.
yeah, that's a very dangerous one. It's happened a couple times, and now I can pinpoint like I'm doing something. I better clear my thoughts in my mind before I continue, so I do not, lose a finger.
Yeah. Do you guys ever just feel grumpy? I wake
Yeah.
up sometimes and I'm just like, I'm grumpy. I don't know what's going on, but I am really grumpy. It's
Mhm.
kind of like the next extension is don't mess with me. You're
Mhm.
wrong before you open your mouth because I'm grumpy. And it's anyway, Jacqueline, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Oh, I gotta stop laughing first. Um, if I understood, I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of making dinner. Um, you were asking what it feels like when you're internally judging yourself?
What
And
are the internal cues that you notice about yourself when you're in an ineffective judgment state?
oh, I have total tunnel vision. I don't see anything past anything. I have like a tightness in the chest and a oh in my tummy, like I just like on edge.
Yes, that's a great way to put that too. Um, yeah, Shane.
For those couples that are out there, do you guys find that your attitudes feed off each other?
Mhm. Oh yeah.
You're not
No,
talking
that
about Hiroshima, are you?
yeah.
I don't think
I
you
mean
need a couple. You can it relates to anybody. It doesn't have to be in a relationship because it's a relationship with anybody, even your poor dog.
That's
yeah,
the
it's something when one of us, Christy or I, either one, start it, just grumpy, bitey, snappy, have attitude. It instantly the other one is the same way.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very similar for us as well. It's interesting when we're both emotionally loaded. that's when we need to that's when we attempt to tread lightly with each other, because yeah, like as Shane said, it just takes one little sharp tone and then the other comes back with a sharper tone, and then before you know it, it's like Hiroshima, as Becky put it. We're just back and forth. I was, sarcastically shaking my head no, because it happens more often than not.
Well, and I want to, like, we're talking about internal cues, but a lot of times I have a very loud face. And so things that are
No.
going on the inside, they show up spontaneously here. So I think that is also something for us to be aware of, is a lot of times we wear our opinions and our feelings on our faces, and we may not even actually be aware of what that's doing. So to Tim's point, if he comes in the door and I'm like, he's like, oh, maybe I'll go back
Spicy.
inside. And vice versa. So again, like internal cues, again, can drive some of our behaviors as well.
Yeah, they sure can. So Tim, would you like to talk a little bit about shifting out of that place?
Yeah, so that's a fun one. And that takes first of all being intentional and being aware, being able to do 2 seconds or a timeout, some pattern interrupt in the moment to be able to shift. I've honestly found for myself, and maybe it works for others, maybe not, just taking a moment to step away from the situation helps me a ton. Just to be able to go, okay, this is ineffective. 2 seconds. I need a moment. Step away for a minute, just to whether I just need to, because I've noticed for myself that I'm an external processor. So a lot of times I just need to get it out of me, even if I'm talking to no one, just to talk out loud, just to vent it, and then be able to re-engage a lot more effectively. Because I've noticed that in those moments when that ineffective judgment is there, emotions rise, the prefrontal, the data is browned out. The information is gone. And so a lot of times just taking that moment to step back and just breathe, step away from the situation, and then come back just allows enough breathing room, allow enough opportunity for that prefrontal to kick back in gear and engage effectively. So it's being aware of it and intentionally either, doing whatever works for you, taking a moment to step away, or some sort of pattern interrupt, then coming back. But you have to be aware of it first. You have to notice, okay, is this where I want to be right now? And what do I want to do?
Well, and where is this where I want to be and what do I want to do? Again, a fantastic pattern interrupt is asking effective questions of yourself, not why is this happening? Why am I mad?
Yeah.
Is this effective for me? So in the chat, if you want me to, Patty, I can put some questions that can help us shift out of
the evaluation questions that help shift us.
Yep.
So Brent, how do you shift? How do you shift from judgment to evaluation?
I mean, it's similar to what Tim was saying. If I gotta be aware of what's going, notice, be aware of my emotions and what I'm doing, and notice it for me to even switch from one state to the other. So once I'm aware of what's going on, notice, what's going on, what's going on around me with me inside, external. You go, okay, this is not effective. I am in a label. I'm in a place of judgment. These are the behaviors that I'm exhibiting, things I'm saying, what I'm doing, and go, okay, I don't want to do this. I want to do the other one. So, all right. So that wasn't effective. What's going to be effective? Just take a breath deep breath, calm, the couple breathing technique to quickly calm yourself. That I think is called a double breath, like deep breath and then quickly inhale again after that. And it physically helps you quickly calm down. So do something, yeah, along those lines to help calm quick, so I can clearly think and process the information to move logically over, shift quickly, so I'm not stuck in that emotional state.
Okay.
And then, you know, usually it's the three E's. Like quickly, that's where I go to is my first ones. You know, is that effective? Nope, it's not. That's the first one I go to. As I'm internal, you know, I'm internal or I'm, you know, external. What's happening, and then, you know, go to evaluation.
Okay. Thanks, Brent.
Mhm.
Valeska, I seem to remember in prior discussions, and I might be mistaken, so if I am, please let me know. But don't you use a pause when you're, I seem to remember you talking about pausing, that you use the pause when you're in a place where you need to shift. Is that something that you use, or is that something that works for you?
That's what I use a lot, but it's ongoing. It never ends. So for me, I do a lot of self-talk. So I'll give you an example. Last week I went to get gas and it was really high and I just got so grumpy. And in my mind, I'm like, that effing Trump and his stupid war is impacting me. And then I'm like, okay, Valeska, stop. People are gonna do what they're gonna do. What's the positive right now for you? Oh, I can buy gas. Oh my God, I can buy gas. And then a shift. My whole body lit up. I felt happier. And then I got in the car and then I turned the radio on a song I haven't heard in years came on that I like. And it just shifts so quickly. I'm like, oh, I know this. But sometimes, you forget because you're so emotional.
Well, you bring up a really good point, which is the fact that we're not always in control of when those big, strong emotions hit. When we're triggered by something, that judgment state, we're not always in control of that. But what we are in control of is how long it takes us to recover from that, from noticing it and what we do with that, and how long do we stay there? Do we feed it like a fire? We just keep throwing stuff at it, or do we shift it? And that sounds like you made a really effective shift by looking at what was working for you. And I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing, Valeska.
Thank you.
Let's see.
So I'm curious. We've talked a lot about the judgment and evaluation.
Yes.
Has anybody ever had judgment that is being masquerading like evaluation? You've ever been in a place where you're like trying to strong arm yourself into a state that you're not actually currently in?
All the time.
Jim's laughing. Okay. But
He's got that one too.
I was gonna say that Becky probably brings this up because there's many times where I'll come in and I'm in a total Y state, and you can tell by my tone, you can tell by my body posture, all the things where I'm actually at, and I'm attempting to I'm in evaluation. I am evaluating right now. I am looking at the data, and what the data shows is, XYZ PDQ. I am evaluating this. And Becky's going, no, you are in straight up judgment in a Y state. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then it's interesting because I'll tend to calm down and she'll ask a few questions as she lovingly does because she's amazing with questions. And it's like it's like this light bulb of, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm totally judging the hell out of things right now. So yeah, I've found myself in that many times where I'm attempting to strong arm. No, I'm not in judgment. I am evaluating. And yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My husband will frequently, I'll try and catch him when I know. I mean, he's just coming in like there's a black cloud there. And I know exactly where he is emotionally. And he'll be going on. And I'm like, kind of in judgment right now. And he's like, I am evaluating, and this doesn't work. And it's the fact that he's using the evaluation, what works, what doesn't work, and what might I do. He doesn't go there. He just goes with this doesn't work. And there's nothing past that. And so, when you're using the questions to shift, there are more than one question. It's not okay. Noticing that something isn't working is really a great place to start. But, you need more than that. So Becky, I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about your question process, and then I have a sample process in here.
Before I do, Blair's got his hand raised.
Yeah. I wanted just to point out that one of the quickest ways is when you're doing this kind of smushing of evaluation and judgment. And a lot of people go into what worked, what didn't work. But this last question, what might I do differently? Or what can I learn from this?
Mm-hmm.
And, that is what is missing from that smushing of evaluation and judgment, where it turns into you're using the word I am evaluating. And you're shifting that into, which is truly a judgment, but you're calling it an evaluation. But when you ask yourself, what can I learn? That shifts it hard. That was also in the video, because judgment, you don't learn when you're judging. You reinforce what you perceive is there, and it can even be a positive judgment. Like people go, you're doing a great job, wonderful job, but is it specific, and what can you learn from that? What to do again to make it identifiable, repeatable, and duplicatable? Or you can learn that you feel great. Well, if you just feel great, that's just a judgment. But it's a positive judgment, but it's still a judgment. So what if we just asked ourselves, what did I learn, or what can I learn?
That's great. Thank you, Blair. And you didn't hiccup once. Maybe what you needed was
I just kept my mouth shut on that one.
Okay.
That one.
Anyway, I do have a sample process, a 3-step process that stacks the 3 E's that could go in the chat for people. And the first step is the behavior or feeling effective or ineffective? And you heard Brent state that, and Shane state that, and Tim. So it's based on whether it's effective or ineffective is based on what it is you actually desire. What's the result that you're going for? That's where you are lining up what's working or not working, or effective or ineffective. And step 2, what do I know? What's externally verifiable? Internal state, emotions are processed as data. And step 3 is the evaluation. What worked, what didn't work, what might I do differently? And we'll add Blair's question, what can I learn? So with that, it's time to shift to our wrap up. And well, this looks good. Trying to keep up with what's...
Before we shift into wrap up, so we talked a little bit about the smushing situation of judgment and evaluation, and wanting to be effective in evaluation when we're dealing with feelings. So what I put in the chat are some cues that you're actually operating in effective evaluation and defining the difference between the smush. So the first one is you're relying on what and how questions. So you've got an actionable list. You focus on present-facing facts and engaging in solution-oriented thinking. So what Blair's last question is that. So when we're asking, what can I learn from this, or what do I get out of this? That's how might I use this? That is solution-oriented thinking. So moving forward. The second one is your focus remains strictly on the real, so not the manufactured stories between our ears. And you stop discussing internal stories, assumptions, or subjective feelings, things that could theoretically be captured on videotape. So if Tim and I are in the same room and I'm feeling something and I'm, focusing on stuff and he could see it too, we could come to agree that it's actually real because it's something that we could both see, versus the narrative of, I can't believe he did it again, right? That's maybe going on in my head. Defensiveness disappears. So a lot of times when we feel ourselves on edge, it was talked about a lot tonight, is if you're in a place of effective evaluation, you're separating the person from the behaviors. You're not lumping them into this thing that they've done. You're able to separate that and using non-judgmental judgmental language. And the other one is 2 more. You experience a boost in self-confidence because self-confidence is your ability to self-identify your own effective use of skills, attitudes, and behaviors. And so you're not judging yourself for something you should have done differently. You're owning what you did that was effective. And then maintaining forward momentum, you stop reliving past failures with emotional intensity and start simply remembering them as data points. So just wanted to add that in there because a lot of times it can get kind of muddy if we're not used to separation and understanding like what's the behavioral side of that. So with that, Patty.
Well, thank you. That's really great. I really appreciate you adding that, Becky. Thank you so much. So I think we'll move to wrap up now. And Brent, would you like to start us off?
Yes, thank you. Man, this was, again, the videos was quite, I mean, the new ones, I enjoy them, so I think they're improving and they're definitely effective. So, even the black and white still works well, the color. I think the black and white works really well. Yeah, I enjoyed the conversations and really the experience of getting that judgment piece and hearing everybody's the different experiences they have and where they come from and how they experience it, what they feel when they get that. So that way you can, things, if you don't pick it up, you hear other people and their things. So that if you see those things, those behaviors, or people talk about those behaviors, and maybe that's something that I missed in myself as well. So if that's there, something else to look for and see. So create that list of behaviors and things that are effective and ineffective. I do enjoy this getting the switching, looking at ineffective pieces and then getting to switching to the effective, what to do to get to the effective piece, and how that works. So I give it an 8 for me tonight.
Thank you. Valeska, would you like to participate in the wrap up tonight?
Yes. I give this a 9. I like the dynamic of the group because there's no judgment. We all have our point of view, and I like that. It's a safe place to have a conversation, and we don't need to look good. I love that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Shannon, I don't know how much of this you caught. Did you want to do anything with wrap up tonight?
Yes. Oh, hold on. Let me turn my light on. It's a little dim. Okay. I came in very close to when you started posting things in the chat. So I was reading to catch myself up, and I really enjoyed the list of evaluation questions to help shift yourself out of judgment. It was really interesting because I was trying to think of some of my own doorways into judgment, and that was a really relevant conversation, some of the things you and I were talking about today. So I thought it was a fun segue, like a continuation of where my head was this morning, and I didn't even know you guys were going to be talking about this. So that was really, really effective. I particularly liked the questions specifically about what do I choose to feel, and what am I feeling? Do I want to feel this way? And allowing the triage of those questions to guide myself towards a more effective emotional state in a situation or towards a person. And Becky, the other thing you were talking about, remembering to separate the person from the problem. Sometimes that with heightened emotions can get very schmooshed. So, and polarized emotionally. So that was a great place to jump in. And it sounds like you guys had a great conversation tonight, and I got just the end of it. So it was really fun. Thank you. And the parts that I heard were an 8. So that's awesome.
Thank you, Shannon. Let's see. Jacqueline and Michael are choosing to pass on the wrap up tonight. So Shane, would you like to participate in wrap up?
Well, yeah, but real quick, I got a question for Shannon. What happens if I'm the problem? Not when we ask if what if it's me? Then what am I supposed to do? No, I love it.
Well, can I ask you a question, Shane?
Absolutely.
So what might you do about that?
Yeah. in Becky's best voice, what else? Yeah, I
Yes.
love it. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, it
that
just,
way you
it's,
get to be able to, first of all, you've noticed that you may be the problem, but then you get to be able to evaluate how you might shift.
mhm.
And that's a for real, very, very effective thing.
I think
Yeah,
that's when
it's,
Shane goes to judgment and he beats himself up a little bit.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, again, since learning the mind models and being going through the mind model coach training and everything, Christy and I, even though those days that you want to be stuck in the mud, you want to be just, I just want to be in this place for a while. You can't because you know how to get out of it, and it sometimes makes you mad
But you can,
because you,
Shane.
yeah,
I have a solution to that, an option or a choice.
yeah,
Sometimes I just give myself 5 minutes to be fucked up. And then after about 3 minutes, I'm so frustrated. I don't want to be fucked up anymore. And it's the weirdest way to get out of feeling that way for me, you
Yeah.
know. Anyway,
very, very
And
good.
highly effective.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can't give enough praises to Blair and his mind models. Use them daily, and these Tuesday night, I can't. Chris and I were talking earlier. Can't believe it's already Tuesday. This seems like time doesn't slow down at all. It's like Tuesday already. Good, we get on Blair. But anyway, 9.79 for me tonight. Uh, I love it. I love being involved. I love the group as well. The dynamic, like Valeska said, is great. And so thank you.
Thank you. Tim, would you like to participate and wrap up?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you, Patty. Um, it's a 9-5 for me tonight. I enjoy the conversation of evaluation and judgment. One of the things that I've been working on with evaluation and judgment is working on, as Blair was talking about, looking at judgment from, what can I learn from this? I heard it a long time ago, one of the very first times that I met Blair, actually. There was a gal in the group that mentioned win or learn. And it was win or learn, not, it worked or didn't work, or pass or fail, or, good or bad, or right, wrong, good, bad, all that stuff from a true judgment standpoint, but win or learn. And that has stuck with me over the years. And especially when it comes into judgment, it's a lot of times we do have to make, as we talked about tonight, those judgment calls, because we don't have the information in the moment, like with going down the dark alley or what have you. Things come up, we have to make a judgment call in the moment. The important piece there is just to evaluate and look at what we learned from it, look at the data after the fact, checking back in. Because if we do, a lot of times we learn something from what we, the judgment call that we made. And so when you start looking at judgment from a place of what can I learn from this? And then evaluation is truly looking at data and, again, what can I learn through this process? What worked, what didn't from an evaluation standpoint? It really comes down to, just what did I learn or what's working and how do I want to move forward? And when you really take that true judgment of good, bad, right, wrong out of it, especially when it comes to people, when it comes to situations, it really, you find that your life is just a lot more positive. It's a lot more effective. I am human. I do slip into those moments where, where that judgment creeps back in from a true, right, wrong, good, bad. I'm in a Y state, emotional load. Those happen, but I have noticed that as I practice to just focus on what did I learn from this and stay in that evaluation, those moments of ineffective judgment are less and less and less. It really just changes everything as far as how you see the world, how you can move forward. And as Becky has mentioned, looking at separating the problem or something that a behavior that you don't necessarily love about a person, when you can separate that from the person themselves, it really changes things moving forward. So Just a great conversation tonight. It was great having you back, Valeska. It's great seeing you on, and appreciate everybody's contribution to tonight. It's fun. So thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Blair, would you like to participate in the wrap up?
I certainly would. So, yeah, no, I think this whole conversation actually has a lot of highly effective things connected to it, especially when we give ourselves the opportunity to stop judging ourselves and start learning from our screw ups, basically, and just keep on trying to apply what we've acquired without beating ourselves up too much. That's sort of important. Anyway, I wish I wasn't hiccuping as much earlier on. It seems to have dwindled down or almost stopped, because right now I haven't hiccuped once. So that's good. That's a good thing. So anyway, for me, 8.75 tonight. And 9 for the video. I really like that video.
That was a good video.
Yeah.
Excuse me. For me tonight, this was an 8.5 tonight. I really appreciated everybody's input and their perspectives on evaluation and judgment. Blair is always fond of saying we behave to the meanings of words, but they're our meanings of words. And so it was fascinating to me to hear how these words settled with people and realize that my understanding and my meanings for evaluation and judgment have changed, have developed over the years of working with mind models, and have become more effective, and they've become clearer. Discussions on what smooshing looks like and how often we do that is also a really valuable discussion. So Becky, if you would take us out and do the practice experience for people.
Yeah, so I'll give my wrap up first. So
Yes.
8 what did you say? You said 9. Okay, 8.8.
No competition.
No. One of the things for me is interesting as we were going through tonight to like experience for myself the sensation of the words even now. And what I've noticed that my names and labels, like how I experience them shifts, but there's still a tacit like evaluation. If it comes from somebody who is like an authoritative figure, there's still a tacit of judgment attached to that for me even now. And so being able to tease apart the difference and pace myself through that has been super effective. And, you know, we're talking about the separation of the behaviors from the human. I think one of the core pieces is to remember that you are part of the equation as well. So sometimes it's easier to look outside your window and like get frustrated with somebody and reel yourself back. Like, oh, okay, their behavior's annoying, but they're still a great person. But then applying that same level of grace to ourselves, because how often do we count our behavior as who we are instead of something we've done? And there's a very distinct difference between those, and being able to evaluate ourselves fairly in how we're behaving and name and label the parts appropriately. There's a difference between the human and the behaviors. The human does the behaviors and they're changeable. It's not written in stone. There's always possibility for a shift. But a lot of times when we're looking through the judgment lens, that gets locked in and we forget that life is fluid and dynamic, and we get to choose which lens we use, which is super, super powerful. And another one of the things that I love about the mind models of being able to give language and distinction to parts and pieces so that we can become more effective for ourselves, others in our lives, which ultimately is a higher quality of life across the board. Doesn't matter what angle or what lateral you're focusing on. And yes, Jacqueline, what might I learn in being your own best friend? Great practices. I don't think that we can practice those enough. Because when we get going at the speed of light, we forget, we generalize, and we forget that, you know, slowing down a little bit can yield us a whole lot. So for our practice, what we'd love for you guys to practice over the next 7 days, and then report back, come back next Tuesday. Again, we're here every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. Mountain and 9 p.m. Eastern, is notice what processes you're using to shift yourself or someone else out of an ineffective judgment state. So again, as we were talking about in the chat above, we have some criteria or some things that might be presenting as indicators of when people are maybe not in an effective space. Okay, so thinking about the grumbling behavior and the cloud of stuff, what are some things that you might use based on what we chatted about tonight to either work with yourself through that or help someone else test it out, see how it goes for you? We'd love to hear next week what that was like for you. So with that, I'll go ahead and share my screen, have just a couple announcements. Just a reminder that you guys, we do our best to make sure that the experience at the Blair Dunkley Experience is experiential. So there's a lot of things that we prep that we don't actually get to because we follow where the conversation goes so that we can have that be a fantastic learning environment for clarity on the show. So if you would like to have access to the additional material that we prepared but we didn't actually get to tonight, we would love for you to invest in yourself with the BDE Insider Notes. They go from episode 318 to current, and we're on 389. So there's a wealth of additional information. You'll also have access to the video that Blair shared at the beginning of this. It's $25 a month or $300 a year. You can go to blairdunkley.com/BDE-insider notes to get that. And then also a reminder, if you weren't on at the beginning, Blair has 2 books on Amazon right now, Ultimate Mind Hacking and the Phobia Freedom Formula. You can search him by name or by title and get your hands on those. Again, great additions to your library. And he's got another book that's coming out soon. So we'll give you details on that as it gets closer. And if you would like to join us live next week, if you're watching out on YouTube, please go to rewiringthemind.com/weekly webinar so that you can join us live on the call and be able to ask questions, be part of the discussion. And again, we're here every single Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain, 9 Eastern. And with that, you guys have a
I
wonderful
just
rest.
want to jump in there and
Oh.
also, I really enjoyed, the little mini webinar. It's a 20-minute micro podcast thing. That's not micro, but it's a 20-minute podcast that was developed and I put together for you guys. And when I that's also in the Blair Dunkley Experience notes. So it's really good. It's very different format here. It's 2 people chatting and interacting, and that's on the Blair Dunkley Experience. So.
Jacqueline, did you have something, dear? Thanks, Blair.
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe talk a little bit about the experience with the Blair Dunkley Experience, whatever you call them, manuals. I'm not sure where they are now because I haven't looked at a lot of them, but are you able, Blair, to find the text and then it will take you to the video? Does that happen?
I'm currently not posting a direct link into the video here, but I guess that is a possibility.
Because I know and when we worked together, when you sent me stuff, I can look at what I was saying and actually go back to that part of the video.
Yes.
And go,
yeah, that's something that I
look at
do.
what's happening here.
Yeah, but that's stuff that I do for paid clients.
Ah, I see.
So it's a different level up. And that's going to be at a higher ticket price, is what we're planning on doing, is including that kind of stuff at the next tier up in the Blair Dunkley Experience.
Well, I must say I'm finding working with you extremely effective. So much to the point where I now want to fire you. Don't just get we were talking about we should probably do 3 months because I'm that bad. And now I'm feeling like this independence growing and stuff. Not that I'm going to do that, but it's
hey, if it's working faster, that's not a bad thing.
Oh no, it's not. It's unfortunate for you because, like you say, how the hell are you supposed to make money on that being so effective?
Yeah. Good news,
Anyway,
bad news.
Thanks, guys. It was lovely to see you all again. See you next week.
All right. Thanks, you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night, and we'll catch you next Tuesday at 7.